dog stirred awake long before dawn, ears twitching at a sound that didn't belong in the quiet house. A door hinge groaned somewhere downstairs, slow, deliberate, as though someone were easing it open to avoid notice. He lifted his head, nose working the air. The scent was wrong, cold and sharp, not the warm, familiar smells of his family. His fur bristled along his spine. Padding silently to the top of the stairs, he froze. The living room lay in darkness, but the hallway seemed stretched, shadows spilling farther than the faint glow from the streetlight outside should allow. He let out a low growl, deep and steady, eyes locked on the far corner where nothing moved. Yet every instinct screamed something stood there. From upstairs, a tired voice called down, "Shh, it's nothing. Go back to sleep, boy." But he didn't move. Instead, he barked, sharp and insistent, echoing through the quiet house. He paced between the stairs and the hall, trying to pull them from their beds, trying to make them see. The humans didn't come. Only silence pressed back, heavy and watchful. The dog planted himself in the hallway, body rigid, tail stiff, teeth just barely bared. The light bulb above flickered once, then again, buzzing faintly. And in that stutter of light, he saw it, something on the floor. A shadow, long and thin, stretched across the boards. Yet the hallway was empty. Nothing stood there to cast it. The growl rose in his throat, trembling with fear he couldn't understand. But he knew one thing with certainty. Something had come inside. The next night came heavier, colder, as though the house itself held its breath. The dog lay at the foot of the stairs, ears perked, eyes fixed on the basement door. The family had gone to bed, the air filled only with the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Then it came, a sound too wrong to mistake. Laughter, high-pitched, playful, like a child's giggle. But it drifted up from the basement, muffled by the closed door. The dog was on his feet instantly, fur raised, a deep growl rumbling from his chest. No child lived here. He knew every scent, every voice in this house. Whatever was beneath them didn't belong. He padded closer, nails tapping against the wood floor. The basement door stood still, unmoving. He pressed his nose to the bottom, teeth bared. Another laugh came, softer this time, followed by a whisper so faint it scraped like wind through cracks. He scratched the door, snarling, desperate to drive the sound back into silence. Light snapped on behind him. "Enough," the father barked, standing at the foot of the stairs in his robe. "There's nothing there." The dog whipped his head toward him, eyes wide, body trembling with urgency. He barked again, sharp, pleading, but the man only shook his head, muttering, "Probably mice." He turned the light back off and went upstairs. The house fell into shadow once more, and then the basement door slowly eased open. The hinges groaned, long and drawn out, the same sound that had woken the dog the night before. He froze, ears flat, tail low. A dark gap yawned between the door and frame. Step by step, he descended the stairs, the wood creaking under his weight. The air grew colder, sinking into his fur. Halfway down, he stopped. The basement was darker than dark, a black that swallowed the faint glow from upstairs. Yet he could see something moving, shapes sliding across the cement walls, flickering from corner to corner, too fast for eyes to follow. The growl broke into frantic barking. His voice echoed into the pit below, but the shadows didn't scatter. They shifted closer. A sudden gust of icy air slammed into him, whipping his ears back. The basement door above slammed shut with violent force, sealing him inside. Panic surged. He whined, leaping against the door, claws scraping the wood. His barks turned desperate, sharp, echoing until his throat ached. Upstairs, footsteps rushed down. The door flew open, the father glaring. "What the hell's wrong with you?" He grabbed the dog's collar, dragging him back into the hall. The mother, half asleep, leaned over the banister. "He's just scared," she murmured. "Maybe there's rats down there." The dog twisted against the crib, still barking, still staring at the blackness yawning below. They didn't understand. They couldn't. Later, the house returned to silence. The family tucked themselves into bed, breathing slow and easy in sleep. But the dog did not close his eyes. He sat outside their door, body taut, ears straining into the quiet. And then he saw it. Through the narrow crack of the door, his eyes caught movement across the parents' bedroom. A tall shadow slid slowly across the far wall, long limbs stretching unnaturally. No one stood inside. The room was empty. The dog growled low, a trembling sound deep in his chest, and stared at the thing his family would never see. The night broke with a sound that didn't belong. The baby monitor crackled, static hissing through the dark hallway. The dog's ears shot up. He was already on his paws before the voice came. Not the baby's coo, not a cry, a whisper. Low, rasping, drawn out, like someone speaking from under the floorboards. His body stiffened, a growl already tearing from his throat. Then the giggle followed, soft, delighted the babies. But it wasn't alone. It was answering something. The dog bolted, claws scraping the wood, rushing into the nursery. The crib rocked faintly in the corner, the baby's tiny hands reaching toward the dark. And there it was, towering over the crib, its shape bent and jagged, long fingers reaching down as though to lift the child. The dog's bark exploded like thunder. He lunged, teeth snapping into the air where the hand hung. The shape recoiled, twisting back with a sound that wasn't quite a hiss, wasn't quite a laugh, something in between. The family rushed in at the commotion. The mother gasped, snatching the baby into her arms. The father grabbed at the dog, yelling, "What's wrong with you?" His grip pulled hard, but then the crib shook violently on its own. The mobile above spun in wild circles. Books slid off shelves, pages flapping in a sudden gust of freezing air. The parents froze. The yelling stopped. They were staring now, faces drained of color, eyes wide with horror. The dog tore free and launched again, snapping at the air, barking so furiously the walls shook. The presence lashed out in return. Glass shattered across the floor. The curtains flailed as though gripped by invisible hands. A dozen whispers flooded the room, overlapping, seeping into the family's ears, into the baby's giggle. The parents pressed back against the wall, clutching their child. For the first time, they believed. The dog didn't stop. His body shook with each bark, each snarl. But he pushed forward, snapping at the dark corner, where the shadows swelled larger and larger, blackening the room like a storm cloud alive with hate. A scream, inhuman, piercing, ripped through the nursery. The windows rattled, and then everything went still. The air hung heavy. Glass glittered across the carpet. The baby whimpered, clinging to its mother. The father whispered, "My God." The dog stood in the middle of the wreckage, chest heaving, fur soaked in sweat and fear. His growl hadn't stopped. His eyes were locked on the corner of the ceiling, where the dark hadn't vanished. It lingered, pulsing faintly, like something watching, waiting. The family whispered his name. desperate for comfort, but he didn't look back. He couldn't. He knew it wasn't over. And in the stillness, as the baby quieted, tiny eyes turned toward that same corner. A smile spread across the child's face. The dog's growl deepened, a trembling vow. Whatever it wasn't gone, and only he could see it.